Hello everyone and welcome to another News Coolum video. I hope you're ready for another road trip adventure. It's not a big deal. I was going to go farther today, but I decided to rein it in because I'm catching up on a lot of errands. So it's probably not going to be as far, maybe only 400 mile round trip at most. But yeah, so I just wanted to bring everyone along because there's some big updates to the charging infrastructure in Northern California. And I just wanted to go out and take a look at them. We have a bit of a low pressure zone, so we're having a nice summer rainstorm and cool down. So the temperatures are great, but it actually is going to be a little bit worse for efficiency. I went ahead and charged to 100%. We're burning cloudy daylight, so let's hit the road. Man, was that guy doing the intro ever gonna shut up? Yeah, Google Maps. I also decided to take a bit of the back way, and then of course Google Maps is actually confirming this, saying it wants me to take the shortcut. So well, it's short in terms of miles, not necessarily in terms of time, because it's a slower road. I'm just gonna hop on the freeway here like a good little traveler. Yeah, the 24 kilowatt ChargePoint unit over there is still down as far as I know. I would love to see that one be replaced. And then I keep checking this Safeway because I don't know if it was an alternative site, but at one point in time it was listed as a California Energy Commission grant funded site for EVgo, and I don't know if it was that or the blue plate in Orland, and it was just an either or optional, but it really would have been nice to see a charger here at this Safeway as well in Corning, because in my opinion, and this hasn't changed in probably 6 to 7 years, the number one priority for building public fast charging infrastructure is actually at grocery stores. Well, unfortunately my battery died on my camera. I'm here in Anderson, just pulled in. A Ford Lightning just exited, so I don't think that it's not that busy. There's just an Ioniq 5 here, and he just plugged in, so I guess it's gonna be a race to see who unplugs before, him or me, but let's get out here and get started. So one of the things, like I said, I know people, they argue over this, but I always activate the app first. I just found that it's more consistent. So now they're giving opposite instructions prior to presenting payment. So they might have changed the protocol on this. 64 cents a kilowatt hour. I guess that's even with my pass membership. That is quite expensive now. So I guess you are paying for the benefit of all of this. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're trying to make their transition to a profitability thing, but either way, they've at least updated their hardware. I'm getting 44 kilowatt, which actually could be right given the state of charge, because like I said, I'm still well over 50% battery. But someone else did note that they said the number 2 charger might have been throttled, but I'm not going to be able to tell in my Bolt EV, especially not at this state of charge. It's more than 100 amps though, so there's that. And I left my other camera plugged in. I'm not going to really spend that much time here. I do have a place to be, but again, this is, like I was saying, Safeway grocery store. This is a perfect spot for a location. I did also note that I think that they, left some low-hanging fruit just by not expanding and adding more stalls than they could have at this location. This is going to be pretty, pretty busy. Oh, and then we've got another guest. So either way, it's good to see these finally going in, and this is a pretty busy station too. Like I said, if you're fixated on Electrify America, you're probably only going to you're going to have to stop here. Otherwise, the next one is going to be basically the Oregon border. So I'm going to go ahead and I think unplug and head out. But hopefully my other camera is charged up now. All right. Well, I just loaded in the next stop. Like I said, I'm not going to really even stay here that long. So let's go ahead. I don't know how much my other camera charged up. A few minutes of footage as I leave. But I guess I have to be a little bit more aware of what that battery time is. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. This is pretty expensive. $3 for not a whole lot. So hopefully, and maybe I just need to update my membership. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's time to go. But yeah, great location. Glad to see it back online again. All right, let's get out of here, get out of people's hair. Like I said, we have the Ioniq that just plugged in as we got here. Have the Mercedes plugged in, so now we're opening up another one of the two. Oh, Oregon, Washington. So we have some northern travelers. But yeah, I mean, if I was going to stop for a full stop, there's definitely plenty to do here, and I probably haven't explored even a fraction of it. So, but yeah, let's just get back onto the freeway again and continue to head north. But like I said, good job, Electrify America. You got the site back up and running. Upgraded new hardware. Let's hope it lasts. But I would like to see some redundancy in this North State area. I know we're talking about having another Electrify America station go in Reading, which is good. But there's still a lot of ground to cover in between, and you don't want to paint yourself into a corner where if one station has to go down for repairs or upgrades, you basically throw the entire travel corridor and region into chaos and turmoil, because either yours was the only fast charger on that route, or possibly the only charger at all, and for hundreds of miles in either direction. So we really want to avoid those situations where we have those single points of failure on a route. I guess, no, that is right. I got confused by the sign. And then, yeah, this, again, right here is a Maverick, which I would love to see them, put in some charging just right here, right off the freeway, add some redundancy and resiliency beyond just Electrify America. I guess maybe not free wire moving forward, but like I said, if they could partner with somebody, that would be great. So back on the road. Yeehaw. Okay, Google. Yak's Restaurant, Dunsmuir. Yeah, I always found the layout of Dunsmuir to be a bit weird, just because it is it's just basically spread out along the highway, the train tracks, and the river, right? So you're kind of just stretched along Interstate 5. It's got a nice scenic little bridge. Of course, I probably, and they're doing construction on the other bridge is part of the reason why, I guess. But I probably razzed Dunsmuir a little more than I I needed to back in high school, because we would always trounce them in the playoffs in football. So yep, and they are open. Now, I don't know if the charger is open. I didn't really even check. But even if I have to just use level 2, I don't necessarily mind. But it looks like everything is hunky-dory. So let's just pull in and get ourselves some lunch. And yeah, you can see here, there's basically 2 other spots, and one of them has that CPE 100 that could be replaced, and the other one is, you know, just completely devoid of a charger altogether. You see, it's pretty pleasant out right now, so go ahead and just go over here. Authorizing. Of course I'm authorized. I'm a longtime ChargePoint member. Don't you know I get special treatment? Let this get a little tension out there. Yeah, and these ones always, you know, probably start the fastest of any public charger. And then, of course, this one pretty much maximizes the bolt. I almost feel like ChargePoint might have designed this with the Chevy Bolt in mind, right? Because they were sort of partnered with GM at the time. How things have changed. Yeah, so we're just straight up to a little over 50 kilowatt. Pretty standard. And then, yeah, we've got a nice little picnic area out here under the trees, so I'll go grab my food. Yeah, and I guess I forgot to mention this, but you'd see this as well. They have the nice level 2 chargers here as well. So there is still a lot of redundancy with this site. Even if this goes down, you know, you might end up needing to spend longer than you would normally spend here. But this is a pretty nice place if you want to get stuck here for a few hours, right? Between you can DC charge, you can eat. You've got that, and then I forgot too, there's just a gas station convenience store right across the side, and then of course just this picnic area too. You know, so you basically, and just the view in general is just really nice. So again, you're kind of in the back, but not a big deal in a small town like this. And like I said, you have the level 2 for slow charging, the faster DC charging. Like I said, it'd be nice to just maybe pair 2 CPE 250s and maybe just upgrade that. If that were a 19.2 kilowatt level 2 AC, I think it would be, I think it would be perfect, right? And then of course here, you know, you are here in Dunsmuir, and it's kind of showing you that West Coast electric highway with all of the stops on it. But we've charged up way more than we need to. So yeah, we're almost at 80%. I was just I was just busy eating, so I'm going to go ahead and unplug, and we can get out of here. So yeah, see the old 24 kilowatt just is kaput, needs to be replaced. Like I said, one of these other CPEs would be perfect, and this was, you know, not cheap, $15, but $16, but I got a lot more out of this than I did out of the Electrify America one. So but yeah, just I mean, overall you're stopping too, not just for the economy of it, but just the ambiance. And right, I mean, if ChargePoint is going to pay for these chargers and maintain them, you know, they get to kind of charge what they want at this point. So but I'm up to almost 80%, so I should be able to pretty safely do whatever I need to do without really needing to charge. So let's hit the road. All right, get back on the highway here. Just kind of on a back road, and then I can't remember if it's telling me to make a left or a right. Oh yeah, just left up here. All right, so here we are. I don't know if I have the exact directions because, well, let's just say that there are a couple of chargers here, and when I put in the one that, you know, that I'm looking for, Google mistook it for a different one. So I'll visit both, but one of them I can guarantee I can't use, and the other one maybe not. We'll see. So here we are. We're at, oh, it's Patriot gas station, and this is going to be interesting because look at how limited this parking is right here. So it's pretty space tight. There are 2, 4, only 5 parking stalls, and 4 of them, you know, designated for charging. So let's get out and check this out. Oh, that's nice. Boba and noodles. That's pretty cool. My understanding is these are supposed to be free right now. And well, I'll link to the PlugShare picture that I saw, but it looked like these got flagged for California weights and measures, right? So they weren't a certified unit yet, and I don't actually know what these units are. I believe these are Signet, right? It's the power node. Yeah, so Signet SK, high power charger. So this is the model number, part number, and output power is basically, right now it's 350 amps on both cables with a max of 200 kilowatts. So these are essentially 200 kilowatt split power. You know, there's always a concern, right, with running this type of power at a rural gas station in a small town, and the reason for that is just this could really tax the grid, but you know, they do come with this battery backup system. So I'll also put a link because Chase Drum over at Grid Connections, I believe he did an interview with the people from Electric Era, who are the ones who put this in, and they gave a lot of details in that video, but I don't think that they're not as concerned, I think, with the hardware at this point. And this is actually a very heavy cable, so I don't think that these are liquid cooled. You know, there's okay cable management, okay reach, right? I can pull it out a little bit more, but just the weight of it, the heft of it, and then just the angle makes it not very ergonomic. But if I plug in, right, so yeah, this is, I think, what they're saying. This is a free session right now, I think. So they're just, I think, getting a sort of a cold start to it, just trying to get the stations in the ground, up and running, maybe testing some functionality. But yeah, I'll also put a link to their website because they seem to be very, very focused on reliability. Let's see. Yep, started right up. Now this is going to probably put a bit of weight on the cable as I let go, because this is, like I said, it's just that angle, but it might sit well with the port. But yeah, these units are pretty cool. I do like them, and like I said, pairing them with that power bank over there, and I'm actually kind of curious if I can see max input power 160 amps, then max output current is 150. So this is just enough to really peak shave, and then 220 kilowatt hour battery pack. So really, like, roughly this is the capacity of GM's biggest Ultium packs right now, is right around a 220 kilowatt gross capacity. These are CATL batteries, so they're the lithium iron phosphate. So probably also not that expensive. This unit, my guess is,
cost is probably less than $30,000 for this whole unit. Maybe a little bit more than that installed, right? You're talking about lithium iron phosphate being really cheap per kilowatt hour, definitely under $100 per kilowatt hour at this point. And then again, it looks like all of these chargers are just matching just a standard max output power of 200 kilowatt, but it seems like I'd have to get some clarification on this, but I mean, it seems like each one of these ports is power sharing, and how much power is available is really dependent, but it might only be 200 kilowatt for the total station. So and this is why people who complain about Bolt EV owners taking up, it's 350 kilowatt chargers, especially the balanced ones. If I'm charging at 30 kilowatt, what does it matter to you, right? That means that on this other port, you have at least 150 kilowatt available to you. So you would want to share a 200 kilowatt charger with a Chevy Bolt EV if possible. So here's the others. So it does seem like this has 6 active stalls available to it. It's just more of a parking constraint, because two, and then that would leave that other one as only really having 1. So, I doubt a stop like this is ever going to get that busy. Like I said, we're in Weed, California, but Weed is a small town, a pass-through town. Just like people using a gas station, they're going to come in, use this for 15 to maybe 30 minutes at most and be on their way. So the fact that we have multiple chargers in Weed that people can choose from and use, this makes for a really capable spot here. And then, like I said, the one thing that I'm concerned with is just the overall weight of these cables is a little bit heavy. And right, this is not that cool. This is not winter time yet. These cables could be really hard to manage during winter. And I'm not one who normally complains about cable weight, but yeah, I would be concerned with these in winter time. Could be a little bit much for some people to handle. Maybe if the gas station is really supportive of this, the attendant would come out and help. Maybe you would get help with a gas pump if someone's really struggling. But otherwise, I think it's a little bit concerning just how heavy these cables are. Some of it's the angle of the parking lot. But overall, this is a great job by Electric Era. I'm looking forward to seeing them do more. I know they have some more sites planned further south from here. Some very close from here, but some a little bit farther. Like I said, also having food in addition to fast food within a walking distance. Like I said, Electric Era, they're doing a great job. They have an emphasis on reliability. So I'm looking forward to them being a really reliable alternative, right? And 200 kilowatts, so good enough for most passenger EVs at this point. I'm looking for them to be a reliable partner for high-speed EV trips and travel. So, and there's more. So I stand corrected, and I would love to see the Honda towing the truck instead. So I stand corrected, Electric Era, and you have outdone yourselves for the last time. Okay, so there is actually a 4th unit here, which is great. And what we have is designated ADA stall. Obviously, that was a requirement, and that was seemingly missing from the other side, which is what was sort of throwing me off. Plus, the numbers didn't match up the site description. There's still no pull-through parking necessarily. But this is probably going to be, well, obviously, if you have any sort of access issues, this is going to be the side you're going to prefer. If you have a dog or a pet with you, this is also going to be the side that you're going to prefer. Just a nice shaded area, a little bit of a patch there for the dogs, but then also trash cans. Shading isn't going to be as much in terms of like sunshine up here. You really do still want some sort of a canopy for snow and ice and things like that. But, you know, just having at least a little bit of a covering and shade over here is nice. Still, you know, somewhat heavy cables. Looks like they went ahead, and I didn't see this on the other one, so they might want to go ahead and add this is a little explanation of their site layout for the rest of the site, because I think that's going to be pretty handy for folk. Again, like trash can, and you do have the squeegees over there, so you know, if you need to run over and do that. And again, like whenever you're using a site like this, especially if you're actually using it for travel, right? Like right now I'm just kind of in and out, just looking at the site before I go, but try to patronize these stores, right? Like Patriot Gas, they put these in, or they allowed Electric Era to put these in. I don't know how you can make that much noise and be that slow. All right, but yeah, Patriot Gas let Electric Era put these in. So the least we can do is sort of patronize the businesses that support EV charging. I feel like that, you know, as EV owners, that's sort of the least that we can do. There is the Weed Chamber of Commerce Visitor Center here. So you really are sort of in the center of Weed. And it's just a nice scenic place to stop. Lots of options to support the businesses in the community. So again, just great job, Electric Era. Great job, Patriot Gas. We need to see more of this. And then I'm gonna probably stop by over there. That's where the V4 superchargers went in, just to check those out on the way out. And then of course I'm over here parked. Okay, so I think this is awesome. This circumvents a lot of, I feel like, some of the gatekeeping we're seeing with some of the charger ratings. Not everybody uses PlugShare, and the people who have positive experiences don't always rate their chargers on PlugShare. But I had a great experience. I'm super impressed. If they want to gather their own feedback from their customers, Electric Era, this is something that's been missing from a lot of the charging providers, in my opinion. You got a screen, put it to use, let you know how their experience was. But I think this was great. Awesome. I look forward to seeing more. All right, Electric Era, you have outdone yourselves. I am super impressed. 800 kilowatts of on-site power, 220 kilowatt hour on-site battery pack. You know, this is in rural small town America. This is exactly what we want, right? Like this is, give us what we want. So don't worry, I'm just gonna park here, pull in and use a public stall. So let me stop here for just a moment while there are plenty of stalls to choose from and share my peace of mind. You can see a lightning leaving. So these are the whatever 3.5. They've got the readers. It looks like they might have the Magic Dock, but here's the thing. These are not right now on the Tesla app as open for Magic Dock. And I think there's a reason for that, possibly, is these are maybe not meeting California's requirements yet for public chargers, or it's just Tesla being Tesla. You know, these are that sort of, like I said, V3-ish cabinets with V4 dispensers, max continuous, 465 amp. So it's a 387 kilovolt. So input power is 575. Voltage range is up to 1,000, and then max input current is 650 amp. Output is still the V3 rating. It's still 631 amps, 0 to 500 volts, 250 kilowatt. So I guess these are just V3, not V3.5. But again, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 cabinets, right? So essentially the equivalent of a 350 kilowatt charging site, only broken out by more stalls. So there should be 4 stalls for each one of those 4 cabinets. So it should be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So there are 16 stalls with, you know, a total of like I said, like 350 kilowatt, 360 kilowatt for every 4 stalls. So it does break out to still about 90 kilowatt per stall when this whole site is filled up. When is that going to happen? I'm not sure. These do have trash cans. This isn't a good overall site. And like I said, it does look like there's Magic Dock installed. It's just not open on their app. And it's just kind of confusing what they're doing with their power levels. And this is kind of a dedicated site. It's not really part of Valero, but I think it's like, I don't know, like an annex or something like that. But yeah, overall, it's definitely a larger site than the Electric Era site by about double. But given the footprint, I think that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. So it's Tesla. Like I said, when I can start using Tesla, I'll be a little bit more open to reviewing them. Anyway, it's time to head out. Pilot weed.
There's Pilot Travel Center 1.6 miles away. Want to navigate there?
Yes. All right, so enjoy Weed Shack. Yeah, I like that. Espresso Bakery. Oh, nice. See, this is what's nice about these small towns, like in Northern California especially. They were kind of designed at a different time when more people would be walking the town as opposed to you know, needing a car to get everywhere. So you have these really nice, robust downtown areas that really do support a lot of local businesses. And if you can put, you know, a public charger off the freeway right smack dab in the middle of one of those, you know, one of these downtown areas, you're going to support a lot of local small businesses. And, you know, feed a lot of money back into these communities. So I guess I technically could have taken that other route if I wanted to. I'm just going to get back onto the freeway again. And yeah, we've checked out North Weed. Now it's time for South Weed. All right, so it is Vista Drive. I mean, there is a bit of a vista. So now I have checked out this pilot station already. So if you want to go back and check out that video, you can. This will be the first pilot EV Extend or EVgo Extend GM Energy partnership to go in California, to my knowledge, right? So there have been a boatload of GM Energy EVgo chargers to go in California, probably, well, maybe more than all of the other states combined. But this is the first one that's at the pilot station, which is important because the pilot station really is, like, these ones are geared for travel, and that's a major deficiency in EVgo's portfolio. Right, like EVgo could have built a ton more like highway, you know, travel style charging sites, and they just chose not to, it seems like. I'm not sure exactly what that strategy is. But I'll say this, some people certainly enjoy the canopy, so I don't know. And again, this is, so I'm looking at it right now as we're pulling in. There is a, the power drop is here, right? The transformer is here. So the question is, why have these just not been powered up yet? And, you know, it seems like it could be anybody's guess, right? And I'm gonna pull in here like I own the place because, you know, I'm driving a GM EV. I do. So I feel like the canopies are just some sort of like catnip for travelers, I guess. I don't know. Welcome to the EV charging experience of the future. Apparently everybody loves a good canopy. I wonder if that's part of the reason. So yeah, you see here, still not powered up. But yeah, I wonder if this could also be employees parking here, and I wonder if they had to do that maybe for some reason. But you know, I did mention people in Northern California being more courteous. They don't always do a great job reading, though. Yeah, that's a yeah, that's a problem. And I know what likely clipped that was a semi. Now, maybe they have to do some sort of a safety inspection for this before they can allow these open for use. But I would think that they would have had the whole area caution taped off rather than that. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure why you would do that. But yeah, so I suppose that could be an excuse for why this isn't powered up yet. But what I was gonna take note of over here is that, yeah, so we have the Delta cabinets in. And again, just as a compare and contrast, each one of these Delta cabinets is roughly the same power as one of those Tesla V3 cabinets. So even though this site only has 2 dispensers and technically 6 stalls, this site power-wise is about half as powerful as that Tesla V3/4 site in Northern Weed, right? And like I said, yeah, they're probably gonna need a permanent cone there to prevent semi-drivers from clipping this canopy. I don't know if they needed a similar strategy for the main gas canopy, but there's the same amount of clearance for both. So yeah, it's just a little bit frustrating because I would love for this site to be on. And like I said, for me, I'm an electric vehicle advocate, right? So I'm glad that GM is invested in this. I'm glad that Tesla is invested in this. I support the automakers who are investing in the charging infrastructure, but I'm not personally playing favorites, right? When I'm traveling, this might not even be my first choice, and that's okay. I don't need to be a brand loyalist, right? That's not necessary. What's necessary is making sure that there's enough charging open and available for everyone when they're traveling, that there's redundancy, right? That's what we're looking for, is redundancy, resiliency, a number of different options when you're traveling. Anyway, everything here looks good. This looks like, other than that damage, everything can just be powered up. So, yeah, I mean, there are some wires hanging off, obviously not gonna touch anything. But yeah, and this is also on EVgo. So I just went to that Electric Era site, and there are a few others that they have upcoming. Electric Era at least put a TBD, right, or sorry, an ETA for when they expect their chargers to come online. To my knowledge, EVgo has never done that with this site, and I would like to see them start. And we know these sites, based on what that crew had told me, we know that these sites only take about 30 days to complete physically in terms of breaking ground, tearing everything out, putting in, you know, the foundations, the columns, the canopy, the chargers, the dispensers, all of that, the dispensers, the cabinets, the power drop, that only takes 30 days. This site has been sitting powered off complete for 3 months now, almost 4 months. It just doesn't, I'm having a hard time, you know, balancing that spreadsheet there. I don't know what's going on that's keeping the site from going live. So anyway, yeah, we'll hopefully we can come back when it's done. ChargePoint, Weed, California. Well, just got to be very explicit. So I would love it if Google started saying elaborate.
Here's the definition of elaborate: involving many carefully arranged parts or details, detailed and complicated in design and planning.
Fair enough, fair enough. Always listening, right? Like, I was thinking more along the lines of elaborate, but you know, they got pretty close. So yeah, I did confirm with someone here that yeah, it was a semi that clipped the canopy there, and yeah, but in terms of when or why or how it should be opened, yeah, that was apparently not the cause, right? Like they're saying it should be open, it should have been open by Memorial Day and just wasn't. So I'm not exactly sure what that is. So we are going down Black Butte, people, Butte, grow up. Going down Black Butte here, and then it is the Comfort Inn. Now, I've never been here before. Oh, I can see it right now. So I just wanted to confirm that this is here. I don't necessarily need to use it, but this is something to always keep in mind, because I've seen this with so many different chargers and having people get frustrated when they're at a charger and it's either full or they can't use it. And it's like, well, did you go to a backup charger that's literally around the block, right? Like right here. Yeah, so I mean, I don't really even necessarily need to use these chargers. It's almost more just to test them. Say, hey, you know, I actually went through the motions, right? Because we see a lot of this, like that cool the earth that I hate to say it, and you know, this is actually a design issue though, how they have one charger handle above another. See, and then I just dropped it like that because these should not be competing when you pull on that cable management. And the cable management still does retract too fast in my opinion. And because it's at the base of the cable and the handle, that does affect the ergonomics of it. So, all right, so now it's just locked into place. Yeah, because those two, and I think maybe ChargePoint figured that out already, because they fixed that with the Express Plus units, because the Express Plus units come out at wings on either side. And this one really should have done that too. And like I said, the ergonomics of it, it will pull it away from you. Anyway, is that I just kind of wanted to check, make sure this was working. I don't see the signage though for the West Coast Electric Highway, so I wonder if this was a separate unit. I thought this was part of that, but either way, my main point in stopping here is literally you could see the Pilot right over there. So if you get to the Pilot and it's full and you don't want to wait around, come over here, right? And if it's broken or you can't get it activated and it's an emergency, come over here, right? There's a backup overflow charger. Again, we're burning daylight and I have a few more stops that I want to make on the way, so let's head out. Okay, just as simple as swiping your card. Yeah, 63 cents to add a little over 1.2 kilowatts, so nothing spectacular, but nothing terrible either. So just a charger that you would use when you're traveling. ChargePoint, Mount Shasta, California.
There's a ChargePoint charging station 6.9 miles away. Want to navigate there?
Yes. All right, so this is our next exit coming up here. So I would love to have access to those Rivian chargers, but not having access to them isn't a big deal. And I realized I could have, I didn't need to go that long route, but maybe that works out because then I get the view here of, again, the superchargers there. And then this is that sort of a weird configuration too. I just sort of noticed that. Yeah, like I said, if I were traveling, I would have probably stopped here instead maybe and then gotten some food at that little Mexican restaurant, Puerto Vallarta. So, I mean, this is the first experience with a ChargePoint Express Plus. So one thing I can see already is one of the cable managements was broken. I don't know if that's just wear already or just intentional. So I don't know if I have to select. Yeah, I guess I do. So I take it and then see how this ended up going under one cable and then around another. So if I had wanted to drag it around, and now it's heavy enough that is literally just dragging on the ground without any sort of cable management to keep it up. Now, that being said, that plug was much easier to use, but I don't feel like I heard the thing latch. So let me make sure that latch isn't. Okay, so I can tell exactly what happened here. If you can look in there, I'm trying to get the shadow right because I can see it here, so hopefully it's coming out on the camera. The left DC pin, someone's plastic pin cover got stuck in there. And so what that does is it, and in fact, I wonder, is it possible? Look at how this latch isn't even working. So this is, I don't know if this is abuse or if this is just this. Well, first of all, this should never happen. So the latch itself is broken, it looks like. So it's no clicking, which is why it wouldn't engage, but also why it wouldn't seat properly is it looks like there's a DC pin cap stuck, right? So if you look at my DC pins here, there's a plastic cap and that needs to stay on the DC pin. If it comes off and lodges in here, like this one has on, like I said, the left DC pin, what will happen is it will actually completely disable the charger. Now, on top of that, you have a latch that's broken. And then, so this looks like, honestly, this looks like someone just raffle stomped this charger. So I know people have very little tolerance when a charger isn't working. I have a little bit more sympathy when it's the result of clear either abuse or possibly just outright vandalism. So hopefully this other cable could be my curse of, and these DC pins are clear, that latch is clear. So Let me see what happens if I try to cross pull this. So I'm going to use this one. See, and the problem is it does not report to ChargePoint that their cable is down, right? Because there's nothing native to the cable that would tell it that, hey, look, this thing is broken now and won't work, right? So now this is plugged in, and I kind of wanted to just see what the activation time was. And then this one looks like this timer might have started from the moment it plugged in, as opposed to the CPE 250s. That timer starts basically when you pay. So I just heard the contactors close at 21 seconds. So this is a little bit slower than the CPE 250s, about, I don't know, maybe 6 to 8 seconds slower than the CPE 250s. But then again, that could also be the amount of damage this charger has sustained. This is not how a charger should look. And like I said, that left cable needs to now be replaced because someone's DC pin cap got abandoned in the DC pin. I don't know if the next person tried to use it and it didn't work. They got frustrated. They tore out the cable management. They threw the cable against the case. I don't know. I'm not going to do some sort of Sherlock forensics behind it, but it's clearly a case of abuse. Someone broke the charging handle after the DC pin got lodged in there. I mean, it's possible it just didn't release, or I hope this isn't the case, but it's possible someone has an override that allowed them to start driving their car away while the cable was still attached. And that should never happen, but that would also cause that kind of damage, both to the DC pins and to the CCS1 locking latch at the top. So anyway, but it's good to see that this site is up and running. That's the main thing that I wanted to come here for, because look, everything is up, everything is available. All of these chargers are online now. So that's why I said this is a really safe stop for someone. As long as these chargers are working, look at how many different plugs you have available to you, not to mention a level 2 AC backup. I think this is the address for the next Electric Era site that's going in. And so I didn't know if I was going to see any construction or not, but this really bodes well. So they have some tree clearing stuff, but you wouldn't need to fence off this entire area just for tree clearing. So I'm thinking that maybe this is, they're getting ready to start the construction on the next Electric Era site, which is going to be, again, a great addition, just adding redundancy, having multiple. So this is just off one freeway on-ramp, off-ramp in Mount Shasta, California. You're going to have a Tesla supercharger. You're going to have a ChargePoint charging site with a ChargePoint Express Plus 200 kilowatt. You have a Rivian charging site, and you have an Electric Era charging site. If it looks like the other one is going to be a 200 kilowatt charging site. And so you have all of these sites going in just off of the freeway here. And it's going to be a great opportunity for Mount Shasta as a town to just bring in a lot of money, like a lot of tourism and commerce from travelers. So I think this is like I said, a great opportunity. And then again, just seeing what's going in north of here in places like Weed, right? We're starting to see this redundancy that we need to see in the North State, at least along I-5, in the more, you know, closer to the freeway, more interstate type areas. So, Willows Walmart. All right, so shopping done. Well, human food shopping done. Dogs still angry. Dogs barking. Need umbrella. Reading is definitely a less walkable city, I would say, which is not ideal. But that also opens up the opportunity for a lot of these larger retail plazas to install multiple charging stalls. And I believe it's just to the right here, I believe, is the Target, which has the single ChargePoint unit. I'm not going to use it now. And then of course you have places like In-N-Out, which would be perfect locations to have charging, especially when they're just off the freeway. So kind of ideal locations. Okay, so now, you know, we're approaching the Willows exit, or at least the exit 603. Whew, that truck is loud in multiple ways. Yeah, so we're approaching the exit, and this is something I wanted to note too. And I see this a lot from out of spec. Like I saw Jordan do that VinFast, was it the VF8, I believe? I'm not too familiar with all the designation codes for the VinFast vehicles, but he was doing a road trip through the Midwest, and you know, they keep talking about how every Electrify America seems to be at a Walmart, and you know, a good portion of them, even in California, are at Walmarts. But what I didn't get is his complaint about how far off of the freeways they were. So occasionally you might run into that, right, where like say the Electrify America at Walmart in Patterson, California, but Patterson itself, just the town, is off the freeway, right? So it's really that charger was intended for the town more so than it was like an interstate charging stop. But in California, we seem to just have a lot more Electrify Americas at gas stations and convenience stores and travel plazas. And so there do seem to be fewer at the Walmarts, but the ones that are at the Walmarts, like, this is it. We're here, right? The charge, like, it's literally off the off-ramp, off the freeway. And so I don't get, like, and I mean, again, it's maybe a regional thing, but I don't get it because in my experience, the Electrify America chargers are actually better placed for convenient travel a lot of times even than the Tesla superchargers. So it's just a weird thing for me to see that, and maybe I just need to travel through the Midwest to see it for myself, because that just hasn't been my experience with Electrify America in California. Is, you know, it's just a limited number of Walmart locations that have Electrify America, and then the ones that do, it's not like they're that far off the freeway, right? They're kind of conveniently located, if I'm being honest. And like I said, in terms of getting pet food and stuff like that, I mean, this is where I would be going anyway, right? So it's literally an opportunity charge. And I did turn orange somewhere getting off the interstate. All right, so I did initiate first. So it does look like they've changed their protocol now. So they want you to plug in. and I still need to, and I've gotten into just this habit now, but I don't know how many Bolt EVs are affected by this, but if you're not like lifting the cable, if you're not supporting it when it latches, there are very few positions where it will actually activate the charge without erroring out. So I still have to wonder how many Bolt EV owners who are running into issues with Electrify America, if it's just directly a result of that. Well, at least this is cheaper than the other one. And then again, like I arrived at, just about exactly what I expected, 14%. So, and then of course I just gotta go, ooh, geese. I just gotta go in and do some shopping and then run in the fields. All right, well, this wasn't without incident. The charger did stop and I had to restart it again after like less than 30 seconds. I think it's this second cord is still wonky, and I think Electrify America knows about that actually. So, delayed by doggo. So I think shopping only took me about 20 minutes. So not bad with a line, and I decided to get a DVD. I wanted to catch Dune 2, so I'm not gonna pay for a streaming service. So yeah, so more or less a little under 30 minutes to get in and out. I have more than enough to get home. I wasn't even counting on that. But yeah, so we've got a Nero EV owner. I don't know if they're heading north or south, but yeah, good stop, good charge, and Mr. Doggo, now we're going. All right, so only a slight delay from the Doggolicious, but like I said, about 30 minutes, and I'm ready to hit the road. Like I said, actually, I didn't even want to spend this long here, but sometimes it's hard to get in and out of the store in time, especially if you forgot something and had to backtrack like I did. And then of course I did need to walk the doggo. So yeah, just a little bit of an excursion here, and I mean, we're gonna make it home, no problem, plenty of juice. All right, well, we made it home just fine, just as I thought. Like, we have so much energy left over. Yeah, that usually I can leave that Walmart with even just, as long as I'm green, I can make it home basically. You know, especially if I wanted to take it easy. But I mean, it was a long trip despite only being 368 miles, right? So just in terms of the actual driving time and the time I spent at the different charging stops, none of these were ideal charging sessions. Maybe the closest one to that would have been Yak's, and even then I stayed way longer than I would have normally just because I was eating, right? Like getting my food and eating. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good overview of what's coming in the North State, right? We still have that sort of stalwart ChargePoint presence that's been here. And really, this is primarily north of Reading. I threw in the Electrify America at Anderson just because I really wanted to show that, hey, this is up now. But Electric Era has at least 2 to 3 more sites that I know about going in California. And so the one in Mount Shasta looks like it's fenced off, getting ready to go in. But based on what I saw in Weed, they're very likely going to be a player. I think the question really comes down to funding, right? Because they stepped in at a very interesting point in the market. Had they come in 4 years ago doing what they're doing, which would have been reasonable, right? Recargo was trying to put in 200 kilowatt chargers based off of some of those original California Energy Commission grants dating back to like 2016. So I think coming in now, Electric Era is going to have a tough road to hoe because they're going to be competing with a lot of the bigger charging providers. You have the Ionas, obviously Tesla, Electrify America, EVgo. And so how they get their funding, how much of, say, the Nevi pie they can get. But I did mention there are some other travel plazas, charging stations that would benefit from that type of a setup. And actually, given what's gone on with FreeWire, I think Electric Era could possibly make inroads with someplace like Maverick. So Maverick, Adventure's first stop, I think they're keen on not really adding to their grid load at their locations, which is probably why they went with FreeWire. But if FreeWire is kaput, right? And I think the Electric Era model is better, right? So if you can put 4 200 kilowatt split power units into the ground with that power node 220 kilowatt hour battery pack and really, really limit the amount of pull from the grid, that would be a perfect for some of these travel plazas. That would compete with what EVgo is doing for Pilot Flying J right now. So it would be a direct competitor. Those two sites are almost identical in power, it looks like, roughly 800 kilowatt, so 700 to 800 kilowatt. And with that 220 kilowatt hour battery pack, that gives Electric Era a huge advantage in demand costs, demand fees, things like that. So, and that competition is, of course, good for EV owners. So that's really what I wanted to showcase. And then again, with Tesla, they're putting chargers in. When are they going to open, right? When are they going to be available to everybody else? Who knows? Right now, it's just a smattering of Ford owners and Rivian owners who either run into full Rivian chargers or Americans are hard up on their luck, right? So I just wanted to kind of showcase this. I was really hoping the EVgo charger at the Pilot would be open by now. I don't know what the delay is. And Walter from the Network Architect channel has been doing a great job following this EVgo Extend Pilot Flying J GM energy build out. And there have definitely been some delays where there are sites that just nobody knows about that were completed and then went online, right? Someone spotted them and a week later they were powered up. And then there are other sites that we know have been installed and in the ground for months now, and nobody's given the green light to turn them on. So in California, you just can never tell whether it's California getting in the way, right? That Electric Era site was flagged by Weights and Measures just a week ago. So those SK units were not authorized to be turned on in California and used to dispense power to customers. So you never can tell with California what those delays are. Likewise, Tesla's been opening a lot more Magic Docks in other states. So there's a question in my mind of, is California impeding their Magic Dock opening? Because again, you shouldn't need to have a specific EV if Tesla has the CCS language already in their V3 superchargers and they have that Magic Dock attachment installed. It should just be an app, swipe, make your payment, activate. And the only thing that I can see that would be impeding that is that Tesla's chargers don't meet California's regulatory requirements. And so I don't know. It's almost as though California can't get out of their own way. They're trying so hard to help the EV customer, that they're stranding them in the middle of nowhere. So that's what you get for being California, I guess. But outside of that, yeah, like I said, I'm super impressed. There's some more chargers that I need to visit. Just a trip this long, though, to visit this many different sites and actually do anything in depth with them, it just takes time. And, you know, I didn't start as early as I needed to. I needed to do some additional shopping. But yeah, I think I'm still super comfortable driving 300-400 miles on a whim through the North State, and relying on the charging infrastructure that's here. And that's, you know, usually my ultimate sort of message is, don't necessarily believe the negativity out there. I mean, be cautious, be mindful, do your research, use PlugShare. People like me are posting on there, giving qualitative feedback about the charging sites, not just quantitative. And it will give you a better picture than I think some of the naysayers and the negative Nellies out there, who either are trying to push you to buy a particular brand of EV that either doesn't rely on the public chargers or relies on a different set of chargers, or they're people that are pushing plug-in hybrids, or they're people who are pushing gas cars, right? They just don't want EVs to start taking over, so they want to make them seem less convenient and less capable for a long trip. So, I mean, like I said, I must have been driving for at least, on the road for at least 6 to 7 hours today. So not counting the charging stops on the road for 6 to 7 hours, and then counting the charging stops, almost all of them, that time was either spent shopping, eating, or reviewing the charging site. So, I mean, even though it was a long day, it was relatively easy, and at no point in time was I ever concerned about not finding a working charger or exceeding my range or getting stranded or needing to call a helpline. So that's sort of my ultimate takeaway from trips like this, is they are very much doable, and as long as you go in with proper expectations and understanding of the infrastructure in your car, easy peasy lemon squeezy. So anyway, I'm rambling now. Like I said, I'm still on about 4 hours of sleep from last night, so I'm gonna go get some shut-eye, I think. And yeah, thank you all for watching. I know this was a long one, but let me know what you think. I might start doing more of these long form videos. So if you're still at this point watching, then definitely, yeah, definitely let me know if you stuck around to this point and it was interesting enough for you to take your time to watch the whole thing. So again, thank you for watching. Safe travels, good luck, and good night.